my channel. This is Amber's World. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you found me. And if you're already part of my family, welcome back. Before we even go any further, first I'm gonna need you to like and subscribe to this video and press that notification bell so that you can be notified when I upload more videos. Now, today, once again, we have a new episode of the Black Heroes and Sheroes of Today interview series. I'm very stoked about this guest. Know why? Because I have told him a million times during this interview just how cool he is. EJ Gaines, Uncle EJ to me. He is just super accomplished, and he is super, I don't know, just mad intelligent. Like this guy, this guy is literally a genius. And I'm so excited for you guys to hear his story and be just as like amazed, because you'd be surprised, you know, the people who are literally in your life, who are in your circle, who are in your village, who really have, you know, they've experienced some things. They have experienced life. And though it doesn't have to necessarily be all bad all the time, it's just the transparency of it all. That's the best way I can describe it. I love his transparency. I love that, you know, he has gotten to claim spaces and places that normally Black people don't really get to be in. And in 2021, we see barriers being broken all the time. So I'm not gonna keep rambling anymore. I'm gonna let you guys get to know EJ for yourselves and hear his story. Without further ado, I present to you the EJ Gaines. Where are you from?
I am from Chicago, Illinois, born and raised in Chicago, Hyde Park. It's a diverse area, University of Chicago campus area, a few blocks away from Barack Obama's house, and that's my stomping grounds.
Nice. And your academic background?
So when I graduated from high school, I went to NYU, go Violets, in New York City, and I got a bachelor's in music in the music business. And then I worked for a year as the executive assistant to Donnie McClurkin, and I hated that because I didn't want to be his executive assistant. We were friends, but I was not cut out for that type of intense work. I did not have the work ethic and discipline at the time. So I applied for the LSAT, took the LSAT, and applied for law school, and I got a full ride to St. John's law school in Queens, New York. And so then I got my JD from St. John's.
Wow, I didn't know that you had a whole law degree. Like you have a whole
the full,
like I didn't know that you were like
thing.
I knew that you were in the music business.
No, before we moved to Nashville in 2009, I'd been working on Wall Street for 2 years at a mid-sized firm, focused on intellectual property law and with corporate clients like Ferrari and Playtex, and was policing their copyrights and trademarks, and also doing some franchise law. It was almost another life. It was
Uncle
a lot of
EJ.
fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Put on my suit every day and get on the train, go down to Wall Street, get off, and my office was at 2 Wall. And I remember having a secretary. They gave everyone, all the attorneys, secretaries, and my secretary was maybe 60 something. She was really sweet old lady. And she said, "Hey, I can type your letters for you, and I can do this for you." And I said, "You are like old enough to be my grandmother. You're not writing my letters for me." Like, you know. And it felt weird to me. I was like, I can write my own letters. Like, I'm good. And so I really rarely used her for anything. She didn't schedule anything for me. I just didn't like the feel of it. But it was a very prestigious thing. You know, it was like, you know, you've gone to law school, you've taken the bar, you passed the bar in New York. It's one of the hardest bars in the nation. And I guess that was all the trappings that come along with it. But yeah, I was an attorney there. It's important. I mean, education is important. You know, I feel like it's kind of like the key, regardless of what you're going to do. If you have a degree, you can do it. And I think with the law degree, whether this is right or wrong, you say that you're an attorney, and when you come into the room, and it's just a different conversation. And I knew that when I got my law degree, I was going to be able to use it, whether I practiced law full time or whether I landed in the music industry, not practicing law full time. That I was just going to, there was going to be a different level of respect, a different level of conversation, apart from being able to serve my
Mm-hmm.
clients well. I knew that there was something that comes along with it. And the reality is, again, right or wrong, as a Black man in America, sometimes you strap on as much as you can in terms of your arsenal to be able to be competitive, and that's just something that I've had to do. So yeah, I like learning. I like getting good grades. That was always my thing. So law school was, that was just kind of in line with what I would be doing, I think.
In that journey from getting into NYU, getting your bachelor's and deciding to go into law, and in between serving as Donnie McClurkin's executive assistant. So actually, can you, let's go back a little bit. Can you explain like that transition from being the executive assistant and being like, I think I want to get into law? Like, where did that where did that shift come from?
Okay. So when I was younger, I thought I wanted to be an attorney because my stepfather is an entertainment attorney, and I thought I want to do that. That would be great. And I knew him at the time, though he wasn't yet my stepfather. And I thought I could do this. And I remember seeing a news report one day just randomly as a kid, and they said by the year whatever, there's going to be more attorneys than there will be jobs for attorneys. And I heard that as an impressionable youth, and I thought, okay, so I shouldn't do that because I don't want to have to get a job that I'm not going to be able to, or get a degree that I'm not going to be able to get a job for. And I was maybe 12, maybe 11 or 12, and um, little did I know then, there's generally more blanks than there are positions for it. There's more doctors than there are hospitals for them to work in. There's that's just a part of the society in which we live. So it's not something I should have used to decide like whether I should do it or not. But I did. And so I just decided I was not going to pursue law. And when I was working for Donnie, um, I was working at the church. He had just launched the church, and church is just it's a different job. To work in a church is a different job. It's not about how much you love the Lord. It's not about how much you want to serve people. It is all about, can you deal with people, church people? And I could not deal with church people, like people who feel like they are um, that God told them certain things, that they have to do certain things. And honestly, it's a very
Mm-hmm.
messy position to be in because you're dealing with a bunch of humans, all of us are flawed, who are committing to living by the Bible. And that's not easy. And it gets messy and it gets messed up. And as the assistant to the senior pastor, suddenly I'm like scheduling meetings and conversations that are difficult, and needing to take a call, and he's supposed to catch a flight, but this counseling session ran over, and you can't barge in there and say, hey, sorry that things are falling apart in your life, but he's got I didn't like the minutia of it. I love the
Mm-hmm.
people, still love the people. I go back to Perfecting Faith in New York and I love them. It's like home. But I was not cut out to do that for long.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, at the time, I just really started disliking Donnie.
I've heard a few stories, and of course we love Uncle Donnie over here, love his music. But
Yes,
I heard that he can be very
he's
intense. He's
particular,
very serious about his work.
very particular. And one of the things that he told me during that time, he fired me and then rehired me. I quit and came back. And we were just like butting heads. Um, but he said to me, I'm going to make you into who God called you to be if it kills me. And I was like, why would you just leave me alone? Like, I don't want to be. But I can look back on that time, and some of the things that are the richest attributes of who I am as a professional came from Donnie McClurkin. They came from what he imparted into me. And one of the things he always said as his assistant was, this job will not be hard for you if you just think about two things. What will he need to do? And what will he need in order to get it done? I have brought that through my entire career, for now 20, almost 20 years of serving artists. What do they need to do and what will they need to get it done? That translates to law, that translates to running a label, that translates to being their assistant, serving anyone. You have to think about what do they need to do and what will they need to get it done. And so he was really teaching me to be a servant, teaching me to be forward thinking and to be thinking 5 steps ahead of him. And it allowed me to really hone a skill that has come in handy. And he's still one of our closest friends. You know, my kids think of him as Uncle Donnie. He thinks of them as, well, he always says, tell them they've got a rich uncle. And so he's family. You know, I love Donnie, and he changed my life in so many ways. But I could not work for him in that capacity. So I secretly took the LSAT. No one knew, not even my mother. No one knew. And then I said, if I do okay on the LSAT, I'll apply for law school, apply to law school. And then I did, and I applied, and I said, if I get in, I might go. And then I got in. I said, well, if they give me enough financial aid, I'll enroll. And then they gave me a full ride, and I said, okay, well, I'm just going to law school. So I did. And one day I'll never forget, I told him, I said, hey, so I'm going to resign because I'm going to go to law school. He said, you can't go to law school. You have to like take the LSAT. I said, I did. And he said, you got to apply. I said, I did. And he said, you did all this secretly? I said, yeah, I'm going to law school. I'm out. I got to go. And so I did. And I didn't know what God was going to do to use any of that. I just knew this is the next step for me. That's all I knew. And that's all I ever know in my life, is that this is the next step. I don't necessarily know like 10 years from now. I don't do that. But I knew that at that time that was the right next step.
Wow. And it's so crazy because in your response, you actually covered a few questions, really. That's really cool. I love how you did that. How does your law degree aid in what you do now? Because I know you're still working with artists and everything.
Yeah. So now I co-run Motown Gospel and head up marketing for Capital Christian Music Group. And a portion of what I do involves getting deals done, signing new artists, closing deals for sponsorships, or some television appearance or what have you. So the contracts will come across my desk in that regard. The way that it serves me now is that I'm generally able to shorthand a lot of the work that has to get done to do deals. The record contracts are notoriously long, lengthy, and complicated, especially now because you're dealing with a lot of different sorts of types of rights, that are attached to streaming and digital and physical and vinyl and 360 and all these nuances. But because I know the legalities of things and contract negotiation, I'm able to at least go to our business affairs team and present them with, hey, this is the deal we're doing. It looks like this, it'll function like this. These are the terms. This is what I'm concerned about. This is where we have room to negotiate. This is where we might not. And because I've negotiated a lot of record deals in my career, I'm able to serve our legal team and kind of expedite the process a little bit. That doesn't mean that, I'm not still learning. I definitely still, will need to be made aware of whatever the new trends are and in negotiations and label deals and what artists are looking for. But I bring a lot of that kind of with me to the table, and hopefully make everyone's job a little bit easier. I don't know that I always do. Sometimes I complicate things, but I try to make it easier.
Wow, wow. And I love how you go hard for every artist you represent. I see you out there like geeked and excited and happy. And
Yes.
that's something that I love. I love that you are, I would say you're a rare story, because there are a lot of people who go to college to get a job in their field that is in their field and they're enjoying it and they're walking in it. But I'm glad that you shared that, your first go around, it wasn't quite what you were expecting or what you liked, but I like how you just fearlessly just kind of said, you know what, let me try my hand at this.
I was just telling someone yesterday that, um, I've the path that I'm on is not one that there was really a blueprint for. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I grew up thinking I was gonna sing. I wanted to be a singer. I was playing the piano. I was singing in different things, talent shows and community choirs and all these things. because I thought I was going to do that. And then I was like, well, I'll just do the business side. And so then I picked up this business arsenal. But then I was like the president of student government at NYU. And so I picked up this like kind of political, kind of sensitivity to the inner workings of the bureaucracy of higher education and all these things. And that was another piece of arsenal that I picked up. And then, serving at the church with Donnie, that was another thing that I picked up. And then Wall Street and law school and all these things, they contributed to who I am, but that wasn't a straight path. And this, you can't map it out. I used to be very, very frustrated that I couldn't just like go and do a thing. Like I just want to know what is the job, and then I go and do it. And I go train, and then I'm that. But in a lot of ways, doing that would have meant that I didn't get to dream at all. And if I had a
Mhm.
blueprint, I think I would have been as innovative in my career in a way that allowed me to be fulfilled. I would have done whatever someone else said could be done instead of whatever I wanted to do. So now I'm at a
Mhm.
place in my career, just getting to a place in my career where I feel like I'm becoming who I want to be. This is exactly what I want to do. I'm turning into the professional that I hoped I would be. I have no idea what it looks like, but I know what it feels like. And a lot of times,
Mhm.
when you're kind of feeling around in the dark, you have to go by what it feels like versus what you can see. And I think it's important, especially for younger generations, to think about what it feels like. Not like, does this check all the boxes and is this, Instagrammable and Facebookable? What does it feel like? You fulfilled? You happy? Are you? Do you have joy about what you're doing?
Mhm.
Regardless of what people say and family and pressures and all that, like, are you fulfilled? And if you are,
Mhm.
then you're probably doing the right thing.
What advice would you give to students who want to work in your field, whether
Um,
that be in the music industry or in law?
yeah, I would say become excellent. Social media and the removal of different barriers and technology access has given this false sense that everyone can be everything if they just want to. But there's still
Mhm.
something to learning a craft and doing it well. That when Facebook is down for the day or Instagram is glitching, you better be a person of substance apart from a social media app. And I think a lot of times people think as long as I can present a certain way, then I will start to believe that I am that, and other people will start to believe that I am that. But if you're not effective apart from an app or effective apart from a thing, it's like
Mhm.
Amber, it's a great example. You speak well, you always have spoken well. You're articulate, you are thoughtful, you are reasoned, you're reasonable. Um, you care about being understood, and you care about articulating yourself in a way that people can feel what you're saying, not just understand.
Mhm.
You'll be that
Thank
whether
you.
you're welcome. You'll be that whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or on a stage, on a live event. You're just that way. You'll be that way at a coffee shop, and you'll be the same way whether a camera's on you. That means that apart
Mhm.
from the things that you attach yourself to, you're always going to be the same: insightful, introspective, curious, articulate. You're going to be those things. You took time to cultivate those things before the platforms existed, right? um, but a lot of times people don't think about um, majoring in that. They want to be people of form instead of substance. As long as it looks like I can do this, then it's good enough. It's not good enough. And so my biggest advice to people would be to really become excellent and become hireable. LinkedIn, you can say that you're the CEO of whatever you launched last week in your pajamas. You're not a CEO unless you can understand profit and loss statements, profitability, gross margin. There are a bunch of things that it takes to become a CEO. You have to understand growth and year over year growth and month over month growth of a business. Just because you had an idea doesn't mean you're a CEO. That means you had an idea. You want to become a
Mm.
CEO? Be hireable as a CEO. And I've always believed, unless you can be hireable as a thing, you shouldn't call yourself that thing. A lot of times, especially in the Black community, we have been excluded from opportunities. And so, because we've been excluded from opportunities, we create our own thing. But you have to be really careful that in creating your own thing, You're not creating what I view as a bastardized version of the thing. Create your own thing and let it be as legit, as incredible, as bulletproof as the thing that you were excluded from, if not more. But don't just haphazardly create some shadow of a thing and call yourself the president just because they wouldn't let you be the president over there. Maybe you weren't being excluded. Maybe you just weren't good enough. Like, it had nothing to do with your skin color. And so I think it's important that we don't lie to ourselves about why we didn't get the job or why we're being looked over. It's not always skin tone. Sometimes it's you're just not good enough and you didn't focus on the right things to become excellent. Sometimes it's both, or sometimes it's just skin tone. But do be excellent. That's our thing to do. Because when you're excellent, no one can stop you.
We can end it there, but before we go, we have to do the rapid fire round.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yes, let's do it. The rapid fire round. It's Thanksgiving, and you have to sacrifice one side. Are you sacrificing the macaroni and cheese, or are you sacrificing the dressing?
Sacrifice the dressing. I'll never sacrifice the mac and cheese ever, ever. Dressing, you can have it.
But that would be hard for me because my mom's dressing and her macaroni and cheese.
Your mom's anything, okay? Your mom could put flour in a bowl, and I'd be like, "This is the best flour." It's like that's okay,
I was like having to choose between any of my mom's sides is always like heartbreaking. But yes, that macaroni and cheese will do something to you. Okay. Pandemic is over, praise God. We can go back outside. First vacation you're going to. Are you going to Australia or are you going to the Dominican Republic?
Probably the Dominican Republic because I love a good beach and I love a good ocean and I love a short flight. I do not like being on long flights, and that flight to Australia, I desperately want to go to Australia. I've never been, and I have a lot of friends over there that I would love to see. I just, until they create a teleportation device, I don't know when I'm gonna get to Australia. I don't know that I can do a day on a plane. I don't know that I can do it. So the first stop would be the DR.